All right. The season started and ended yesterday with the Barrelman half iron distance race after Tremblant got canceled earlier in the summer. So basically, my one and only triathlon of the season, which is fine, but kind of sucks too because you're always worried, man, I get one race this year. But happy to report, probably one of the better races I've had in quite a long time. So a bit of a quick race recap, but first, for some of those who don't know all the stuff and the logistics that have to go on, just basically drawing out some of the gear that we have. And this is not all of it by any means, but obviously when you're packing for a triathlon, you got your wetsuit and for the swim also our swim tether, and we swim front to back. You've got my goggles and cap, and then off to the bike you've got your helmet with cycling gloves, you've got cycling shoes, stinky cycling shoes, and running shoes, stinky running shoes, and then I've got your race number with your belt on it as well, with the run tether attached to that. So basically the race actually went really well, but I'm going to show you one thing which was kind of a fun tale of the day, although there was a few tales. So basically this is for my reference as well. So that looks fine and dandy, I'm sure, but that rail should not exist the way you see it. Basically, when I had my bike set up, I had that seat pushed all the way forward. So basically this rail would have been out this side. Basically the clamp would have been all the way to the back. Well, we'll get to that one in a second. So the swim was really good. Andrew was guiding me, and basically he did a fantastic job. The swim was 2K swim in the Welland Canal. Andrew found the guy wire, which basically, because it's in a rowing canal, he found the wire that holds up these tiny little buoys about the size of a human head, and those are there all year round. And then the race directors put big giant buoys, probably the size of a barbecue, that mark your way. Well, Andrew was following the line, and every so often one of these little white guy wire buoys would bounce off of me because we're following front to back, so no risk in getting tangled, right? Well, you would think, until about 3/4 of the way through, and I hit another one of the buoys with my arm, no problem, they just bounce out of the way. But perfect storm, my arm must have caught just right, pulled the buoy down, pulled it towards my tether, wrapped around the tether, wrapped around my foot, and whoom, stopped just super abruptly. So Andrew would have got a tug very quickly, indicating I had stopped, but was able to unwrap the buoy pretty quickly. My worry was the athletes coming behind, not knowing, and then slamming into me, but that didn't happen, so we were good there. Andrew popped his head up, said, "What's going on?" I just yelled, "Go!" and off we went, because we were good. Got out onto the bike, and I don't know, I'm going to start calling him Lance, because he brought a whole new set of race legs today. Andrew was really going at it on the bike. I thought he was just overexcited, but no, he was hauling the mail yesterday on the bike, which was awesome. So we averaged quite a higher speed than anticipated, but about 20k into the bike, that seat slid, which, if you've ridden a bike a long time in a particular position, and all of a sudden the seat changes, it's quite the abrupt change if your seat moves back about 3 centimeters from what you're used to. So we could have stopped, but I thought, you know what, I checked quickly, reached my hand underneath, all the bolts were still there, so the seat wasn't going to fall off. I thought, okay, well, let's just ride for a little bit and see how it is. And then I thought, okay, this isn't so horrible, about 5-10k later. So I reached in my patch kit, pulled out a little bag that had tools in it, pulled out an Allen key very carefully because I didn't want to drop it as we're riding. I just told Andrew, hold on to it, which basically means either I'm going to move or shift, or I might be going hands-free, sitting up without hands, which, don't try this at home, but again, been doing this for a while. Grabbed the Allen key, shoved the bag in my mouth, and then reached under my seat behind me and was adjusting very carefully the screw. Basically, I thought, you know what, if it is where it's at, I'm just going to tighten it down and hope it doesn't move. But Andrew couldn't hear what was going on, so he's like, what's going on? Because I told him to coast. And and I'm tightening the screw. I'm like, hang on a second. Anyways, it was quite calamity because he had no clue what I was doing, but basically he's just trying to tighten the seat up so it didn't slide any further, which it didn't. So yeah, I rode the next 60 some odd kilometers with the seat that far back. Honestly, it wasn't horrible, but when you change your bike position that abruptly, like that's a lot, 3 centimeters, and that quickly, places different demands on your legs. But basically the body felt not bad, but by the end my quads were pretty toast because it was quite a different position. But anyways, that was calamity number 2 of the day. Calamity number 3 came midway through the bike when we had to do a second U-turn, and U-turns on a tandem are really, really difficult. And again, hats off to Andrew. This was not his fault at all. It was a super tight U-turn, and sometimes if you overshoot the U-turn, you can go onto the gravel and just get it back on the road. Well, I knew when we were turning it was going to be ridiculously tight, and we did hit the gravel, but unfortunately the gravel was super soft. The front wheel hit it and kind of slid out, so we did a very slow motion tip over, unclipped. I hit the ground, but very lightly. Bottle fell out, and all the people we had passed previously passed us back. It was more embarrassing than anything, but it's kind of hilarious actually, because it's a difficult maneuver on the best of days. So then we passed a lot of the people back, and I just laughed, saying, this isn't our first day riding a tandem. So that was calamity number 3 of the day. But anyways, we got away on the bike, and we were doing really well. Both of us, because we're old, and we're just old. 3/4 of the way through the bike, we both really had to pee. So we stopped at the last aid station on the bike. Both hopped off, both used the porta-john, got back on, and rock and roll all the way back into Niagara Falls. For reference, our proposed speed that we thought we were going to hit was something like 31 kilometer an hour average. With the 2 or 3 minute potty break, we still averaged 33.7 kilometers an hour. So we were really moving better than we thought we would. Onto the run, and the weather gods were on my side. It was a very cool day, overcast, which is Ryan perfect weather. So felt really good, almost, too good, where you were just holding back, because the whole goal was to run basically the entire thing. We walked the aid station, so, that's just what you tend to do sometimes in a triathlon, just to make sure you get all your nutrition. And there was 2 really steep hills, once per lap. So we walked that, keep the heart rate down, but everything else ran and felt pretty good. Calamity number 4, I guess, was near 3/4 of the way through the run. We're both exhausted, but we're still running. And I drifted and I tripped on a pylon. But as I was falling and turning backwards, Andrew literally held me up by the tether, which is something Sid had done years ago as well. So that's save number 2 for the tether. Anyways, we kept running, had a great day. Our proposed finish time that we were thinking was somewhere around 5.5 hours. We finished in 5:17. Granted, the bike course was 87 instead of 90K, and the run course is about 20 instead of 21K. But doing the math, we probably still would have been under 5:30 with our paces. It was a great day. 174th out of 600 people, 23rd out of 54 in my age group. So yeah, not bad for an old guy dragged around by an even older guy. But big kudos to Andrew. He did amazing. None of those hooplas, those calamities were his fault. The buoy thing I probably couldn't do again if I tried. The seat sliding, that's odd for me. For those that know me, I tend to over tighten bolts, so don't know why that slid out. The U-turn thing, that's just, it just was what it was. That's not an Andrew thing. It's a hard maneuver. And then the pylon thing was me, and Andrew saved me for sure. Kudos to everybody out there from Chatham, Andrew Flanagan, Pat, Cynthia, Ruth, Anne-Marie, apologies if I forget anybody else, and my mother-in-law Janet, who crushed it. She did a 6:27, which is like a half an hour faster than she thought. So it was a good day. So anyways, that's the start and the end of my triathlon season. I'm not sure what's up next year, but kudos to John Salt and Multisport Canada. It's a great event if you ever want to do your first half go do Barrelman. And yeah, again, thanks to Andrew. Oh, and Renee, Andrew's wife Renee, she crushed it as well. So congrats to everybody out there from Chatham. Have an awesome week, and we'll see what next year brings.